Afternoon and welcome to the December 10th, 2025 Lenawee County Board of Commissioners meetings. I'd remind everyone that cell phones are only allowed for law enforcement and emergency services, so please silence your cell phones. And if everyone would please rise, we'll have the invocation followed by the pledge by our county clerk, Roxanne Holloway.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather together this afternoon, we thank you for the gift of Christmas and the hope it brings. May this time together be filled with your peace and understanding. As we leave today, help us to extend compassion to others and to carry the joy and hope of Christmas into our work and our lives. We ask this in your name, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Holloway. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ungst,
Here.
Commissioner Blanco. Here. Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Daly. Commissioner Krasny.
Here.
Commissioner Martis.
Here.
Commissioner Stimpson. Commissioner Tillotson.
Here.
Commissioner Van Doren.
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. We'll ask for approval of the minutes of November 12th, 2025.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Daly, supported by Commissioner Blanco. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. The approved minutes are approved. Amendments to the agenda.
If there are no other amendments to the agenda, I would move that we accept them as printed.
I have a motion by Commissioner Tillotson, supported by Commissioner Martis. Discussion.
Collins.
Excuse me, Commissioner Collins, supported by Commissioner Collins. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. The agenda is approved. Petitions and communications. None, commissioners? Okay, thank you. Introduction of special guests. Limited public comment for any item on the agenda. Is there any limited public comment for agenda items? Thank you. Resolution and proclamations. We have a resolution for Older Adult Volunteer of the Year for Mr. John Saxton, which will be presented by Commissioner Martis. Mr. Saxton, would you please come up?
As he comes forward, I will share a quick anecdote. I grew up about 100 yards away from the Saxton family in Blissfield. That was my good fortune and perhaps his misfortune. There were 9 households with children within about 3 blocks of our house. And I think the ratio of boys to girls was about 9-1, which made for exciting work for our local constabulary, particularly preceding Halloween. So it's my distinct pleasure to share this resolution honoring Mr. Saxton's work. Whereas the Lenawee County Board of Commissioners recognizes and honors individuals who demonstrate exceptional commitment, service, and dedication to improving the lives of others within our community. And whereas John Richard Dick Saxton of Blissfield has demonstrated exceptional volunteer service for many decades, and even at 85 years old, continues to devote his time, energy, and compassion to helping others. Whereas since joining the Lenawee Department on Aging in 2014, John has been a dependable and compassionate volunteer, driving older adults to medical appointments and delivering meals, logging more than 23,000 miles in service. And whereas John is known for his willingness to help, his positive attitude, and his readiness to say, I can make it work, even with short notice requests, clients and staff alike recognize him as respectful, honest, and deeply committed. Whereas his service extends to the Blissfield Area Lions Club, where for over 3 decades he has supported community projects benefiting local doctors, students, and youth. Whereas John honorably serves in the United States Army, earning numerous decorations, and continues to support veterans through the Lenawee County Department of Veterans Affairs, including transporting veterans to VA medical appointments with patience and care. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lenawee County Board of Commissioners proudly recognizes John Richard Dick Saxton as the Older Adult Volunteer of the Year and expresses its deep appreciation for his outstanding dedication, service, and compassion. I so move.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Commissioner Tillotson. Discussion. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Daly,
Yes.
Commissioner Krasny,
Yes.
Commissioner Martis.
Yes.
Commissioner Stimson.
Yes.
Commissioner Tillotson,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Doren,
Yes.
Commissioner Ungst.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Resolution passes.
He's chosen to not make any comments, but this is the award he received in honor of his service. Thank you again. Pardon? Well, from the state, excuse me. Sure you don't want to make any comments?
They told me I can't.
Okay. Very good. Well done.
This afternoon, we have a special presentation by Dr. Joel Robertson for midterm outcomes. Doctor.
Good afternoon. I think it was 11 months ago I was here, and we've been working with your staff. And one of the things that's important, I think, for you, and as well as us, to see how well did we do in looking at the needs that they had, and did you invest wisely or not? Because I think that's what we need to look at. So from this perspective, I really like to appreciate the whole team that we worked with, both from the administrative and the sheriff office. My staff really appreciated the respect that they were given and the absolute professionalism. So that was great from that standpoint. We run a midterm at 10 months, and what it is to say, how well are people doing? And did it save any money, et cetera? So that's what we're going to share today. And where do we get the data? So the data I'm going to give you is taking all of the individuals who completed our assessment. The assessment is voluntary. So we present it to everybody, and whoever wants to take it can. That gives us the whole idea of saying, what are the risk factors? Are they stressed, whatever? And then later on, we can evaluate what improved. And so we're going to combine what we call cohort 1, which is 21 people, which includes the sheriff command staff and select government officials. I'll give you a little bit of data on cohort 2, but we'll look at this and do some predictive analytics on whether it improved their life as well as did it save costs. So if you look at it, we had a total of 21 in cohort 2, and in cohort 1, and in cohort 2, we also had 21. Which is really remarkable is we offered this to 45 people and 42 took it. And if you know anything about wellness programs, they typically have about 11% participation. So this is really fantastic. So we look at it and we say, as far as participation, the first cohort ended up with 91%. The second, which I'm not going to give you midterms because we haven't had them there, but it's almost 96%, which is a really good showing. And I think it speaks a lot of your management, because people trust your management and things that they bring forward to them. So when you look at midterms are always difficult to get. And you'll notice sheriff will be slightly less. And the reason why is because they're not always in the room at the time we offer the assessment because they're on call or things of that nature. But we have a total of 71% midterms, and we're going to give the data on that. If you look at, and I'm going to use what's called normalization, how much over the norm of 18,000 people, because percentages don't always matter. And you look at it and you're saying, okay, if one is stressed, how much over? And we're going to take the government, the select management in cohort 1, and they're 1.05 times more stressed than the average population. If you look at them compared to other government executives, they're even greater stress. If you look at the sheriff, you see a 1.28, and you compare them against law enforcement patrol or similar size, mid-size sheriff, you see more stress. So you have a group of people that are more stressed than the average. And then you come in here and let's look at one of the factors that contributes to health is sleep issues. And as you see, there's some significant trouble getting to sleep and staying asleep, et cetera. And why do we talk about sleep? Is because that releases cortisol, or that's a problem with cortisol, which causes a lot of health factors. You look at the law enforcement, and again, you see some of those dynamics. So sleep is somewhat of an issue. Why did they want to participate? And I like you to look at that as that's the pain that they're feeling. And if you look at it, you have of the government population, 100% said they wanted to overcome stress. And you look at the sheriff, and that was at 60%. But as you go along, you'll see significant numbers want to enhance performance, improve relationships, improve moods, which is not uncommon to society today. This isn't like outrageous, it's what society is going through. So now let's look at how well did they do? So we have 21 individuals in the program, and midterms are offered. And don't think because someone didn't fill it out that they aren't participating in the program, because they are. It's just they weren't there at the time. So here's the first thing that we ask is how many of you gained insight? This is both the sheriff and the government. And they all said 100% said they gained insight, they would recommend the program, and it encouraged them to develop a healthier lifestyle. When you come here, we do what's called, this is where the big gun comes from, where you save fun or save money, is health inhibitors are, somebody may have a health inhibitor would be such as chest pain, or it would be something that contributed to a health condition. A relationship inhibitor might be something such as frustration or anger that contributes to relationship issues. And a performance might be concentration or something. We have 73 of those possible. And the average group, when they came in, had 24.88. That was the average person. At midterm, it dropped to 12.86. Now, that's at that moment. Now, I want you to be aware of everything that I share. If people stop doing it, it's not going to stay where it's at. So that's just, I mean, don't feel that all of this stuff is, well, that's good, it's all over. Because it takes between 3 to 5 years for people to make changes. When you look at where the percentage of individuals, HPR's health performance relationship, you'll see the government population averaged about 65%, and the sheriff did about 39%. That number is going to be important when we look at cost savings, because we're going to look at that dynamic. And you can see each of the areas where the improvement took place. We talk about brain chemistry, and brain chemistry is something that we look at saying, as we talked about the first time, the reason why we have so many medications such as anxiety, serotonin, and all of that is because when you use medication to change brain chemistry, it changes the mood. So we looked at the in-between, which is the brain chemistry. When you look at those numbers, serotonin's associated with depression, weight gain, and some compulsivity and perfectionism. And you notice that it got better. Dopamine is often associated with long-term stress. You may refer to it as burnout. And you'll see that often with a sheriff or a government official, somewhere around 18, 19 years is when service, it begins to get to them. High dopamine is the one that's associated with sleeplessness, et cetera. And then acetylcholine is the one for memory. And you look at that, where they started, where they went, and here's another way of looking at the improvement. And when you look at serotonin, it's very slow to change, because this is what we refer to as upregulating a gene. And we've got a movement there. Dopamine is kind of moderate. We've got the 13% improvement. High dopamine changes quickly. That's why you see such a significant number. The acetylcholine is associated with dementia. And what's really important since the time I saw you, I think before, AMA declared that dementia is preventable. And I think that's pretty fascinating. We're not talking about Parkinson's induced, and we're not talking about stroke induced dementia, and we're not talking about Alzheimer's. But it's a gene that can be upregulated. And we focused a bit on that with this group. Here's the health risks. So if you think of this and you look at the green bar, anything below green bar, a person's not going to get it. This is called the clinically predictive value. So what you're looking at is what's my prevalence. Between green and the orange bar is a person who's at risk. Between orange and red, they're at moderate to high risk, which means if they don't change things, they'll eventually run into certain trouble. Over red is a critical state, meaning that it either exists or it will, it's a very high likelihood of it existing. The blue bar is where the group started. And then you had to leave in all of the genetics. You can't change your family and you can't change your background. But what you can change is my environment and my lifestyle. So those stayed solid, what we call the cards you've been dealt, and how many of the things that they've improved would drop their predictive value. And as you see, every one of them got pretty good movement. We still have movement that needs to be done. When you look at behavioral diseases, you'll see, and you notice that with the level of stress. Anxiety is very significant, and it's not unusual this size government. So certain governments are more stressed than others because this is a size that they know the people, et cetera. So it's a little more stressful because it has a lot more relationship to it. But you look at the anxiety, and that's still something we obviously want to deal with because it's still uncritical, but it's moving down. Performance, don't always look at the red bar there because our brain doesn't always operate at 100% performance. We're like 50%. But if you look at, the improvement, that's pretty good. And all along through those areas. You do see something that's pretty significant, and that's the level of compulsivity. Our society is more and more compulsive each generation. And there are some genetic profiles that are looking at why that's the case. You look at relationships, and very indicative of our society is we're a frustrated society. But this group has improved across all of the categories. If you look at the big three, stress was up there, very high, came down. When you have too much stress, you don't have enough energy to make any changes. And that's one of the things that happens. So if we can get stress down and change can occur, here's where we go. If you look at CDC, and CDC will give us numbers that says how much does it cost you to have these 4 diseases. Now you'll notice that dementia isn't on there because we can't really predict dementia yet. But we do know the numbers on cardiac disease, et cetera. So we took the risk factors and put it in and said, how much is it costing? So for example, we know it costs $1,450 for an individual to have high blood pressure per year. So we took that number and we calculated it out, how old they are, how many years left and working. And what you'll see is basically the individual, if they keep doing what they're doing, will save around $51,000 on those 4 diseases. If you look at health risk factors, these are the numbers that this group showed. And that's going to come up in the next slide with, can we predict any cost savings? This is not your group, but this is the average after 2 years. So what you'll see is some of them got better and some of them stayed the same. But the reason we show this is because it does show that we can continue with those processes, with what we do over a period of 2 years. Now let's look at what the savings may be. And this is kind of an important dynamic because when you invest with people and invest in them, it costs you money. And is it going to eventually have a payoff? So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this inference logic where we say CDC tells us, and I'm using August 2025 data, that was the last out, and how often does a disease occur, and then how much does it cost? These are their numbers. And then how much is the indirect cost, which is absenteeism. And then we take how well this group did by improving those inhibitors that we were talking about and compared to the inhibitors that could be changed. So you're not going to change, your genetics and childhood development, but you can your lifestyle. And it'll give us the ability to say, where are we at and where did we move? And then we can use what we refer to as inference logic, because now we have to say, as you get older, you get more diseases and things of that nature. So we have to include the age in there. And then we can calculate out these healthcare costs. So here's the chart, or not yet, but here's the numbers. Cardiovascular disease is a disease that affects 9% of the population. That does not include high blood pressure, but it does include coronary heart disease, stroke, heart failure, and atrial fib. That costs the healthcare system $393 billion, and that's $23,963 per person that has it. And then the lost productivity is 11,000. You go to diabetes type 2 and you got 11.6%. That costs around $10,000, $10,755 per person, and lost productivity is 2,800 almost. Obesity, you've got 40% of our population is over 30, which is considered obese. 9.4% severe obesity, over 40 of BMI. And that costs us about $1,861 per person, and lost productivity $437. High blood pressure is estimated to be between $1,500 and $2,500 per year, and productivity is somewhere around $2,800 to $3,500. So we'll take those numbers, and now we'll use a chart. So right here is I took all that chart, and it says CDC prevalence. Heart disease is between 8 to 11. The next bar shows that average is 9%. And then the next one is how much your agency has. So the average for heart disease was 9%, and your group had 21%. For diabetes, it was 12, but your group had 5%. For obesity, it was 40, and you guys had 41. For mental health, 11, and your group was lower. So you look at it and say, okay, so then we can calculate what percentage have it. Here's our costs for each disease. Then here's the calculation that says, how well did they improve those preventable factors, and how much savings, and this is healthcare, how much savings was there per person per disease? And you notice that per person annual saving is $1,861. If you take the 21 people, that's a total of $39,000 for the county. And then if you calculated that out for a lifetime, if they work till 65, it's $574,000 in savings. Take those same numbers and look at lost productivity. Now you have the same numbers there. You have the same, now you have different numbers of productivity. And you take the productivity and you look at where they went, and now you see an average of $1,000 improvement in lost productivity per person, which is $21,849 for the group and $321,499 for the over a lifetime. So here's what you come down to. The individual, which wasn't your savings, projected if they keep doing what they're doing. Now, if they don't keep doing what these doing, these numbers do not count. These numbers are only if a person stays where they're at. So please don't all of a sudden say, well, we saved that, and next year, if they didn't do anything, we didn't save that much. But we do know, based upon that one slide, that we keep people doing what they do over a period of time. So the individual saved $51,000. The agency for productivity per person was $1,000 and $1,800 for healthcare. And you come down at the bottom and you say, here's what our numbers are. We saved about $900,000 if they did and kept doing what they're doing for the lifetime, and they all stayed till 65. That's the number. So that's what happened. And as I said, for these things to happen, it has to be maintained. And if you decide that you want to keep doing it, we're here to support and work with your people to maintain those numbers and try to achieve those. So the numbers I think you have, and you're more than willing to look at them and run them through and look at them deeper, but I just wanted to give you an explanation of that data. Any questions? I know it went through pretty fast, but.
Questions, Commissioner Martis?
I'm sure there's a range of responses from the people who are engaged with the program, from like, to, wow, this is amazing. Obviously, you can't give specifics, but are some generalized comments of what you hear from the folks as they proceed through this?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think that the county administrator will reach out to people and ask them in general, which is a good idea, how they feel. Because when you look at those numbers of 100% insight and 100% of all this, if they like us, we get those answers. I mean, if you don't like, you don't always answer. So, it's skewed. It really is. And we have nice people. And so people tend to want to be nice to us. So I wouldn't always look at those as being valuable. And we have a list. Actually, what I do with my team that comes in is we gather comments from your group. And it helps me to motivate my staff why they get up at 4 a.m. and work hard and do that. And the comments in general, again, I feel strongly, I'm a researcher, that you only get comments from people who really like it. And you're probably not going to hear from people who don't. But there's an overwhelming support. And I guess the other thing that's very important, and I'm sure that Tim can tell you more on the feedback, but they've shown up and they've been very active in participating. And we have one-on-ones. Our staff does one-on-ones, and it has been the majority of people have done it, which says they're taking an interest.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Collins?
This is somewhat of the same vein, and maybe a little too abstract, but do you have some metrics or some feedback? How do these people feel about themselves after going through this program?
So the first, that's a great question, because the first phase that we call, which is getting everybody a report, everybody learning their brain, everybody learning all of this sort of stuff, and how they feel is always interesting from the standpoint of I feel better, okay, or I feel less anxious, or things of that nature. And that's part of that midterm comes from it. But quite honestly, as we move forward, we start addressing what I refer to as the lens that people have in life. Okay, so we're working on the brain chemistry. That changes pretty quick. The lens is that's where my anxiety, depression, and stuff comes in. That's the mental health. And that takes longer. So you're having people who feel good, but will they stay good is the biggest question. And that's where we always like to say, if we're doing a good job for you and you want us to, we like about a minimum of 3 years to do that. That's where we get what I would call the legitimate, this changed their life. This is preliminary.
Administrator Murphy?
So I want to thank Dr. Robertson for coming here today. If you recall, and I know this has been a while ago, the county agreed to enter into this as a pilot program to see if there would be any benefit to our employees. The reason that we did this is because there is a presumption that if employees can understand how to cope with their trapped stress and understand what's going on in their own world, their own body, and take steps to repair that will have a direct impact on the cost associated with our premiums. Not only will we have employees that will be healthier, their relationships be healthier, potentially avoid risk or act as risk mitigation in some of our more high-profile departments where we experience more litigation as a result of oftentimes trapped stress or emotion. That as a whole, we will be able to reduce our premiums, much like we did when we started requiring annual physicals of all employees and their spouses. We did see a drop in our premiums. So whatever we can do to potentially lower that liability and responsibility and get healthier employees is what we want to do. So going into this, I think that we were all a little, I don't know if we want to say nervous, but we didn't really know what to expect. And I want to put a little, because we are the size government that Dr. Robertson talked about, we all know each other. I want to put a little bit more perspective on this. When we talk about government employees, what you are talking about are 3 employees in the administrator's office, and the other are the leadership team at Maurice Spear campus. Those are the individuals we're talking about, and that's where you're seeing those results. The other employees in cohort 1 from the sheriff's office are his command staff within the sheriff's office. So it's those individuals that have made it through the majority of the first phase of this program and are the reason you can have the midterm results. And I would say that one of the things that shocked all of us, because we often hear about and we understand the risk and the stress that is in law enforcement, the things that they deal with on a daily basis can be quite horrific. What I did not expect is a similar response within those people in the administrator's office and at Maurice Spear campus that were also part of this process. You can see that every single employee, or majority of them that were in this, had low serotonin and low dopamine, which are triggers for pretty significant health issues going down the road. And so for these individuals that have been taking part of this program, they are learning more about themselves. We have each received, in case you weren't aware, everyone has received a book that looks like this, that is specific to themselves. Ms. Elliott has hers here. Although the cover looks the same, the inside of this book looks different for every single person who took this assessment. And there's vital information to help us understand how to control our stress. And I think I'm going to share a circumstance that I think most of you can probably relate to see where and why this is beneficial. And then I'll wrap it up because I know we have a big meeting. I don't know how many of you have ever been at work and that door just keeps revolving. The emails keep coming in. The employees that you have keep coming up with questions and you don't get a moment to take a breath. You have deadlines, you have stuff that needs to be done, but yet you still have to deal with the stress of what's going on. And it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And how do you within that day take a moment to release that stress so that you can still be the best person you can be without biting someone's head off the next time they come in through no fault of their own? And so some of the techniques that we have been able to learn through our one-on-ones and through these classes with Dr. Robertson and his staff have taught us how we can take a step back and what we need to do based on our own brain chemistry to be able to get ourselves back into a level tone. And that looks different for every single person that has been through this, although we all experience very, very similar issues. And so for that reason, and I know this is something we have to keep up to show benefits later on, but I think if the results can continue to decrease like they are, especially with our second cohort, and our second cohort consists of our department heads and their backups. And it's not all of them because this is a volunteer program. But if we can see some of the same results that we're seeing in cohort 1 with cohort 2, I think that you are going to see employees who are better able to handle the stress of their jobs, and you're going to see happier employees than what we have now.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Robertson, for
Thank you.
your report.
Again, I appreciate your support.
Thank you much. Appreciate it, Doctor.
So approval of the consent agenda would be in order.
Moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Collins, supported by Commissioner Mardos. Discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Krasny,
Yes.
Commissioner Martis.
Yes.
Commissioner Stimson.
Yes.
Commissioner Tillotson.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Doren.
Yes.
Commissioner Unks.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Daly. 9 yeas.
And the consent agenda is passed. So, Mark, you're appointed to the medical facility. That was on the consent agenda, just so you know. It's okay. Standing committee reports, accounts payable. Commissioner Mardos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Accounts Payable Committee met on November 13th and November 26th. The details of our actions are posted above. Everybody can see them on the screen. The request is that I move that we recommend the approval of the accounts payable payments in the amount of $6,375,114.64, with the general funds portion being $798,163.34.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by, who was it?
Me.
Commissioner Blanco. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Accounts payables are paid. Thank you, Commissioner Martis. Anything else?
Just note, I don't know if we discussed where we were gonna do our year-end accounts payable meeting, but just so folks are aware, we're apparently moving that to the 29th of
Correct.
December.
Good point. Yeah, it was a little push for the staff to get it done by the 19th, so we've met with the administrator and we're changing it to Monday, the 29th for the reconciliation for accounts payable. Criminal Justice, Commissioner Collins.
Thank you. Criminal Justice met on the 4th of December. We received actually detailed reports from almost every member of the committee. But the bulk of the meeting, in fact, the vast majority of the meeting, which was a committee of the whole, was the discussion of the Axon contract, which will be dealt with shortly.
Thank you, Commissioner. Questions? Thank you, Commissioner Collins. Equalization, Commissioner Krasny.
Thank you, Chairman Van Doren. On Thursday, December 4th, 2025, the IT and Equalization Committee met with Commissioners Krasny, Collins, Tillotson, and Chairman Van Doren present. We got an overview with the IT report from Director Ricker. There are currently 3 open projects. Communications team, Marketing Coordinator Jennifer Ambrose provided an overview. And social media followers have recently increased, which is largely due to increased social media interaction with our wonderful new employee, Quinn Wilt. There was 27,000 views of the Christmas tree live stream on Facebook. That's really amazing job by our social media team. And we got an equalization report. The consumer price index was reported to us that it is 2.7% this year, down from 3.1% last year. So that's really good news for our Lenawee County residents. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Commissioner Krasny? Thank you, Commissioner. Personnel, Ways and Means, Commissioner Martis.
We have 3 items that were not on the consent agenda. I would ask that we consider a vote on all 3 by roll call vote. The first item would be the Lenawee Now contract. So I guess I will move that we approve the Lenawee Now contract as recommended yesterday by Ways and Means.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Commissioner Daly. Discussion. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Martis?
Yes.
Commissioner Stimson? Commissioner Tillotson? No. Commissioner Van Doren?
Yes.
Commissioner Ungst?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yeah.
Commissioner Krasny?
Yes.
7 yes, 2 no.
Motion passes.
The next matter is the Axon contract that Commissioner Collins was just discussing. I move that we approve the Axon contract as recommended yesterday at Ways and Means.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Commissioner Collins. Discussion. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Stimson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tillotson?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Doren?
Yes.
Commissioner Ungst?
No.
Commissioner Blanco?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly? Commissioner Krasny?
No.
Commissioner Martis?
Yes.
We have 6 yes, 6 yes and 3 no.
Contracts approved.
The last item is the matter of the easements at the airport. I move that we approve the easement arrangements that we recommended forward from the committee yesterday.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Commissioner Blanco. So do we have what those, yeah, Administrator Murphy?
The actual motion is to move forward with the purchase of an navigation easement as recommended yesterday.
Thank you. Discussion. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Tillotson?
No.
Commissioner Van Doren?
Yes.
Commissioner Ungst.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Daly.
Yeah.
Commissioner Krasny.
Yes.
Commissioner Martis.
Yes.
Commissioner Stimson.
Yeah.
So we have 8 yea and 1 no.
Motion passes. Anything further, Commissioner Martis?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Physical Resources, Commissioner Krasny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Thursday, December 4th, 2025, the Physical Resource Committee met with Commissioners Krasny, Tillotson, Chairman Van Dorn, Commissioner Blanco, and Commissioner Collins, all present for this wonderful meeting. We got an update from our Building and Ground Superintendent, Rob, that the dumpster pad concrete repair was recently completed at the jail. Then obviously his department has been very busy decorating this building as well as others for the county tree preparation. There's also painting done at the Social Security Office in the Human Services Building. Drain Commissioner Ed Scheffler gave us his monthly report. Crews are working on open drains in Ogden and Ridgeway Townships. And from our Emergency Manager Director, Craig Tanis, had requested a Ford F-150 pickup truck for him to serve in that role with his department. We got an update on Marie Spears Campus by Deputy Administrator Elliott regarding all the new renovations taking place there. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Board appointment reports, Airport Commission, Commissioner Collins.
Airport Committee met on the 1st of December, excuse me. We just discussed the motion as to the navigation project. Their manager reported out on the maintenance repair. And we discussed earlier about it, there's a while back about a sign being replaced at the airport. They're not able to do it yet because the weather has not allowed them to sink the sign with cement. There was an old World War II aircraft being housed at the airport. The owner, who lived in Japan, Germany, wanted to restore this aircraft, sat there many years, did not. It became inoperable, or was for a long time. And policy says if it's inoperable, it has to be removed. So that was removed to somebody who purchased the aircraft in Las Vegas, who intends to restore it. And other than that was the discussion on the navigation and other projects for the trees. Any questions?
Questions?
What kind of plane
Commissioner
was
Martis.
it? Fighter, trainer, bomber?
I don't know. I know it was twin engine, but beyond that, I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Bridging the Gap, Commissioner Martis.
Yeah, we met last 2 weeks ago. Our last meeting with the presentations as a result from our RFP will be next week. And then Ms. Zisk is working on collating all the data from the evaluation forms, and then we will meet in January to begin the even harder process of figuring out where to go from here.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Community Action Agency, Commissioner Stimson.
Community Action Agency met last week here in Adrian. They've been rotating around to the various different communities. Much of the discussion was centered around the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's withdrawal of initially a notice of funding opportunity, which took away all the homeless dollars and housing dollars that pretty much Community Action Agency for our size counties would have. So it's about $1 million, which would have left 70+ families that were disabled or had an adult disabled person who would no longer receive those housing subsidies and would be now homeless. That was later withdrawn by HUD, but this is kind of atypical for how the Community Action Agency has been trying to put together their budget over the last year or so, is that they'll get a notice that they're losing all their housing money. Then they'll find out that maybe that got reversed, and then maybe they'll put a late notice in later that reduces it. So it's just been hit or miss, keeping up with the updates. But otherwise, they're soldiering on with many of the aspects. They continued on with much of their educational aspects as well, and they're running of early Head Start and Great Start.
Questions for Commissioner Stimson? Thank you, Commissioner. Community Mental Health, Commissioner Stimson.
The meeting is the 17th.
Thank you. County Planning Commission, Commissioner Blanco.
Yes, it was, we met on the 20th of November and it was a pretty lengthy meeting. We looked at two zoning, ordinance changes one in Medina Township, one in Palmyra that had to do with renewable energy, where they would possibly allow it or where they would not. There was a Rollin Township, proposal to change from lake, agriculture to lake residential. That was approved also. And then for PA 116 farmland agreements in Blissfield Township, same owner, just 4 different parcels. And it was approved questions or comments. And had conversation about having a dinner again. And I had some ideas for them. They also want to update their book, which I'm not quite exactly sure what all that entails to do, but that's something that they keep bringing up, and I guess it needs to be updated, and we have to figure that out. And that was about it for that meeting.
Questions? Commissioner Martis.
Is the agenda out yet for this month's meeting?
No, I just checked to my email because Commissioner Tillotson was asking me as well, and they have not emailed that out yet.
Ogden Township has an interim zoning ordinance that they're hoping will be reviewed.
Be
this
on
month,
there.
So hopefully it's on the agenda.
I can let you know as soon as the email goes out.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Commissioner Tillotson.
I'm also on that committee, but the questions that were mulled over was pertaining to a 90-year agreement for an Act 116. And the whole committee kind of thinks 90 is just a little too far for them. And so the comments back respected that. So, most of them are 10, 20 years, 90 years. It's really 3 generations.
Yes, and something to do with the house. Did they want that included? Did they not want that included? There was just some details and questions for them. So, yep.
Any others? Thank you, Commissioners. Department on Aging, Commissioner Collins.
Department of Aging been on the 4th of the month. We received a serious plea from the director for drivers for the meal delivery program. There are currently 37 drivers now. Not all 37 deliver at the same time, but that apparently is far less than they need. So there was an urgent plea put out. Contrary to that, the home care staff is almost full, and it's not been at that high a level since its inception. So she was very happy about that. The activities centers will have holiday activities on the 15th of the month, and the new van that was purchased for them has arrived, yet to be detailed or decaled.
Questions?
Need more drivers.
More drivers.
Need more drivers.
See that, there's a plea down.
I might add that the gentleman that received the award was one of the premier drivers for the program.
Thank you, Commissioner. Department on Health and Human Services, Commissioner Tillotson.
They will meet on the 17th of December.
Thank you, sir. Emergency 911 District Board, Commissioner Collins.
We've been on the 13th of November. They talked about appearing at job fairs around the county for a career in dispatching and 911 centers. The staff was very glad for the HVAC backup at the center because at one time it went down, the heat went up quickly because of all the stuff in there. The in-building reception problem for Blissfield PD is still being addressed by Motorola. They have not rectified it yet, Sheriff, am I correct? Oh, you're right. So Motorola is still working on it. They believe they have a solution, but not yet done. Dispatch center has 18 on staff, which is significant. 1 in training. Law enforcement new representative is Chief David Gettner from Madison Township. Greg Tanis was resigned for a new term. and Dave Dixon resigned from the board.
Questions, Commissioner Martis?
Is the fire chiefs aware of the progress, particularly the Blissfield chief on the radio issue you're working with? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I get asked about it when I'm there. That's why I'm following up. So thank you.
Commissioner Ungst?
Yeah, I'll just touch on that. On the fire chief level, it's been a major topic of discussion. So we're taking some measures to create the radios.
Super. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Health Board, Commissioner Collins.
Health Board met on the 19th. It's a very short meeting. Indicator respiratory illnesses are still low. The budget, as of now, seems to be fine. They were worried for quite some time, but seems to be doing okay. The clinic will be closed on December 15th to January 2nd and had limited service from December 1st to 12th because of the remodeling that's going on in the building. That was it.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Homeland Security and Local Emergency Planning, Commissioner Collins.
Did not meet. We'll be meeting next week.
Thank you, sir. Land Bank Authority, Commissioner Collins.
Where am I at here? Land Bank Authority met on the 26th of November. The agreement has been completed for the project in Addison for the building to be torn down. We needed to have a contract with the owner of property surrounding the building need to be taken down. That has been agreed upon and completed. Roger Ferguson and Jake Wright were reappointed to their positions, received an offer of $12,500 for 2471 East Balmy and Adrian. Apparently he wants to put in a laundromat and possibly a restaurant. Nice combination, I thought. And they have applied for the Michigan grant.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Illinois Public Transportation, Commissioner Tillotson.
They meet on the 23rd of December.
Thank you, sir. Max Finance did not meet this past month. Mac Judiciary Public Safety, Deputy Administrator Elliott.
Yes, MAC Judiciary and Public Safety met November 24th, and we had a presentation from Airspace Link, which is essentially a new company that is monitoring, helping essentially such governments and systems, municipalities, air traffic control for drones. So we had a really good presentation there, and I know it came out in the MAC podcast as well. So if any of you are getting that correspondence from MAC, there's a link in there that you can look up Airspace Link on, as well as they talk about it on the podcast. And then we had just general updates from Sam.
Questions? Thank you. I'm sorry, Administrator Murphy, did you have anything on MAC other than who we didn't meet?
I did not. I was just going to say they did not meet.
Okay, thank you. Marie Spear Campus, Commissioner Collins.
Raise Bear Campus that met on the 3rd of the month. There are currently 29 residents at the campus, 19 boys, 10 girls, 13 from out of county. The radios, which were purchased by the Race Bear Campus Board, have been ordered and they're on the way there. The board also purchased gift cards for the staff. And the students are about to involve themselves in some virtual learning programs, obviously wearing a headset and can do some amazing learning stuff. But that's relatively new, hasn't started really in depth yet. The foster kid party that they put on at the campus for all foster kids, recent foster kids in Sonoma County, is on the 13th. And work is still ongoing at the old detention building.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Michigan Works, Commissioner Collins.
Michigan Works met on the 19th of November. There's a lot of discussion, but highlight the resolutions that were reached. One is the purchase of multiple computers for all their areas. One was a pay scale increase, which did not result in a pay increase for everybody, much like we did our wage study completed here. Set a date for meetings for 2026. Tentative approval of the budget. And RFQs have been submitted for the lease space in all of the counties in which they operate. I believe ours is at the Human Services Building.
Administrator Murphy.
Yes, Michigan Works Southeast is currently located in the Human Services Building. We were asked to fill out a request for proposal to extend that lease because the lease is actually expired at this point. We did send in our RFP and we have been advised that our RFP was accepted. So now I am working on drafting the updated lease. I will get that to Corporation Council, to Michigan Works, and then expect that that will come back to you in January for review and approval.
Very good. Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Administrator. So, Region Two Planning, Commissioner Tillotson.
They met and are continuing to work with Clinton on a master plan. There's also a continuing work with Woodstock Township on a planning commission on an update of their master plan. They the small urban fund amendment, transportation amendment, Lenawee County Road Commission got some funds for Sand Creek Highway and Wolf Creek Highway and Lenawee Hills Highway. And that would be from M34 to US 223 and from US 223 to Wolf Creek Highway and ending at Hunt Road. They did have a $420,000 project for the city of Tecumseh and Occidental Highway from Russell Road to M50. Also, there is a $420,000 funds for Riverside Avenue in the city of Adrian from Scott Street to Ben Oak. That's basically what happened.
Questions for Commissioner Tillotson? Commissioner Tillotson was also appointed to the nominating committee, so. For the Region Two. Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Solid Waste Management, Commissioner Stimson.
Solid waste met on the 3rd of December, pretty much a standard, it didn't meet. The notice was the 3rd. I wasn't there, so that's why I was gonna say the minutes are in your,
No, the Solid Waste Materials Management Committee was not able to meet for lack of a quorum.
I wasn't able to be there either way, so. I know it met on the, it's supposed to be on the 3rd, and I don't know when the next one is, but the only thing on their agenda was 2026 goals.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. Substance Abuse Disorder, Commissioner Tillotson.
They meet tonight. I think I'll be on the telephone and not going there.
Not dodging the snow and ice. Questions? Thank you, Commissioner. MTA, Michigan Township Association, Commissioner Blanco.
Yes, we met, I think it was on the 17th. Very productive meeting. We had Nancy Jenkins Arno was there as a speaker. But most of the meeting was about the townships are just concerned about every time they turn around, it's, solar, wind, CO2 wells, and now data centers, and they're just very concerned about all of these topics. They want to collaborate with the planning commission and have a meeting, which they want to have a meeting too. So I suggested, why don't you have this evening dinner or whatever they end up having on this topic? The townships want to talk about this, a collaboration. And then I spoke with Commissioner Martis, who has a great idea for a potential speaker. And so I'm going to take that information back to them at the next planning commission meeting and see if we can make that happen, probably in 2026. And that would serve lots of, that would make everybody happy, I think. So.
And no, I'm not the speaker. I recommend.
No. You have
Questions
somebody
for
in
Commissioner
mind.
Blanco? Commissioner Martis.
I just make a comment since you mentioned the CO2 injection. DT, as far as I know, still is interested in 25,000 acres in the northeast corner of the county. But I did have a meeting with a number of state legislators on Monday by Zoom, including Rep. Arno and several from the Thumb, where they're also looking at CO2 injection. So there's a bill that came out of the Senate 29-7 that would take control of this and give it to the state. Right now, the townships do have some role in the siting of the surface structures. A curious thing, and if the state doesn't, if Eagle doesn't get involved in this siting process, then it would default to the feds. Curiously, the legislation that's out there, the state version only requires the wells to be monitored for 10 years after they're completed and capped. Under federal law, it's 50 years. So right now, the kind of informal consensus is this, they got another year yet for this before it would die, but the House does not look like it's likely to take up that legislation, though at some point, something will need to be done, but just thought I'd throw that out there.
Questions? Thank you, Commissioner Martis. And Commissioner Blanco. Road Commission, Commissioner Martis.
We met this past Thursday. One of the items of discussion was, there's been a substantial change in road funding through the last budget bill that went through, and it's entirely to the positive for roads in a substantial way, so they're very pleased, but it leaves a void for the last part of this year. So they will be $750,000 short this year, but according to statements made in the meeting, they will recover that and more in just the first 3 months of next year. So a net good all across the board, but a short-term problem, but they wanted to assure everybody they have the money and they'll be fine.
To some degree, that's good. It does take away from our revenue sharing, so, because we don't get any sales tax on that now.
Okay, I'll pass that along to them.
Right. One that they weren't going to affect. They weren't going to take any money away. They're going to add to it. Okay, questions for Commissioner Martis? Veterans Affairs, Commissioner Collins.
Veterans Affairs did not meet for lack of business.
Thank you. Wellwise, Wellwise did meet and discussed, most of the discussion was around the continuing resolution in DC. Most awards to date, funding levels have been, are commensurate with the fiscal year 2025 budget, so they haven't seen any cuts there yet and are hopeful they won't. They worked with the federal, the Michigan Food Bank Council of Michigan for grocery gift certificates to offset the SNAP funds that were denied during the debacle there in Washington. And then they reviewed the CEO's performance evaluation and edited the draft for board approval, and the board did receive it and approve it. And they set the goals for the board, or from both the board members and from those of the executive director herself for 2026. Questions? Other liaison appointments. Unfinished business. New business. Public comment on any item. Any public comment on any item? Public comment? Last call for public comment. Thank you. Commissioner comments. I will tell you, I was a little remiss when we were introducing special guests, and I forgot that Mr. Brady Krasny is with us, our future generation politician. Welcome, Mr. Krasny. Nice to have you with us today. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Martis.
Two quick ones. I know this has been a painful process, and this is directed towards Sheriff Bevere. But thank you for your patience as we worked our way through the Axon comment. I think we're stronger as a result of the work we've done, and I look forward to continuing to work together. Secondly, it's my sincerest hope that this restoration of the contract with Lenawee now sends a message that Lenawee County is working hard, collaboratively together to continue to overcome what are our competitive disadvantages relative to some of our neighboring counties like Washtenaw and to the southeast and to Sylvania and in the Toledo area. So I'm pleased, and we will watch with diligence to make sure the money's spent wisely, but I think it's a very positive step forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Martis. Other comments? Well, I'd like to, anybody else? Like to wish everyone a happy holiday season. This is our last meeting for the year. We will be meeting in January, at which time we do not have reorganization. We will be reelecting the position of vice chair, which is done legislatively, have been every year. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be safe out there.
I move we adjourn.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis. I take it there's no announcement because you're not going to get any. Supported by Commissioner Blanco. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no.